Hello, welcome to the program. I'm Amarakshi Ubani. Let's begin with stories and happenings that made headlines over the weekend.
On Sunday, rescue teams frantically dug through a condemned landfill site in Guinea's capital, Conakry, after heavy rain triggered a landslide of waste, killed at least 30 people living nearby. Prime Minister Amadou Ba was among the officials who visited the site, where he shared condolences with affected families on behalf of the president, Mamadi Doumbouya, and his government, while pledging support. On Saturday, clashes broke out between Tunisian security forces and protesters in the southeastern city of Ben Guaden after a migrant boat carrying around 15 people sank off the coast. Demonstrators gathered in one of the city squares before clashes erupted. Security forces fired tear gas as protesters threw objects, set fires and blocked several streets. 6 bodies were initially reported recovered. By Sunday afternoon, Tunisia's National Guard said the death toll had risen to 8, with 6 people still missing. Still on Saturday, hundreds of Sudanese arrived in Khartoum from Egypt aboard a convoy of buses as part of voluntary return program after millions fled the country during more than 3 years of war. Returnees expressed their joy, saying Sudan has no equal. Even if they go to any other country in the world, Sudan remains indispensable. Since fighting erupted between the Sudanese Armed Forces and the paramilitary Rapid Support Forces in April 2023, Sudan has become one of the world's largest humanitarian crises. Meanwhile, 3 patients were discharged from an Ebola treatment center in Beni on Saturday after recovering from the disease, offering a sign of hope as the epidemic continues to spread in the Eastern Democratic Republic of Congo. The survivor said that the disease is real and people must stop saying doctors are killing patients in hospitals because of Ebola. The outbreak, which is caused by the Bundibugyo virus and was declared in May, has recorded 5,375 confirmed cases and 2,555 deaths.
We'll continue in Guinea, where search and rescue efforts continue at the largest landfill after a massive pile of rubbish collapsed, killing 30 people. The disaster struck early on Sunday at Dar es Salaam waste site in Conakry, following heavy overnight rain that triggered a landslide. Eyewitnesses say people rushed to the site to search for survivors, but the ground continued to give way, swallowing more victims. 6 people are seriously injured. Several nearby homes have been destroyed as emergency teams comb through the enormous piles of waste for survivors. The Dar es Salaam dump had been due to close on Sunday, with residents in the surrounding area already ordered to leave. Many people were still living nearby when the landfill collapsed, turning a long-standing waste problem into a deadly disaster. Meanwhile, the Democratic Republic of Congo and the AFC M23 have agreed on a roadmap for continuing peace negotiations following talks that are held in Switzerland from August 17 to the 21st. This sets out the next steps and timetable under the Doha framework. The deal comes after months of stalled diplomacy and renewed fighting in the East. The roadmap is intended to define the successive stages and timetable for negotiations under the Doha framework, according to a joint statement issued by the Swiss government. Both sides have reaffirmed their commitment to pursuing negotiations aimed at securing a comprehensive peace agreement and resolving the conflict through the implementation of the Doha framework. Head of the Catholic Church, Pope Leo XIV, is calling for international response to a deadly Ebola outbreak in the Democratic Republic of Congo, urging the global community to work closely with local communities to prevent further loss of life. During the Angelus prayer to crowds gathered in St. Peter's Square on Sunday, Pope Leo said he was thinking in particular of people affected by the outbreak. The Pope also offered prayers for victims of a mine collapse in Zamboye in the CAR, where, as we just reported, more than 100 people died after an artisanal gold mine collapsed. The pontiff's remarks come as communities across Central Africa face multiple humanitarian crises, and from infectious disease outbreaks to deadly and unsafe mining conditions. And as the deadliest Ebola outbreak in the DRC's history continues to spread, UN responders are renewing their urgent appeal for immediate international support, with existing funding for life-saving work critically low. UN Senior Ebola Coordinator Julienne Harness says very soon funding will run out, and every delay in funding and implementation makes the epidemic more deadly, more difficult to stop, and more expensive. Since the outbreak was declared on May 15 this year, 290 people have been infected, 2,516 have died, according to the latest health authority data published. Briefing journalists from the Ebola epicenter in Bunia, Harness also warned that the disease is growing exponentially, with half of all deaths occurring in just 20 days.
The Ebola outbreak is growing exponentially. In the last 3 months, 2,500 people have died, and half of those in the last 20 days. And the epidemic is spreading widely. It's now covering an area that is bigger than France. Why is it so difficult to respond? Well, the operating conditions are brutal. 160 healthcare workers have fallen ill with Ebola, and 43 of them have died. And then when we do respond, apart from the threat from the virus, healthcare workers and frontline workers have been attacked by youths, ambulance have been burnt and stoned, and the healthcare facilities have been attacked. Just getting around is difficult. Last week, I was trying to get to an Ebola hotspot, and it took 3 hours to drive 60 kilometers. In this area, the banking system barely functions. We're unable to bring in the amount of money that is required to pay the workers, which has led to great unhappiness amongst frontline workers. And then aid cuts over the years, particularly the last 2 years, have reduced the capacity of humanitarian organizations by more than 30%. We're only covered for the next weeks, and very soon funding will run out. So we need to scale up. We need to have far greater investment, far greater support from the international community. And every delay in funding and implementation makes this epidemic more deadly, more difficult to stop, and more expensive. So we need that international support immediately.
4 people have been arrested in South Africa in connection with the murder of boxing champion Zolani Tete, who was shot dead outside his home on Friday. The 38-year-old boxer was gunned down in what has been described as an ambush in Mndisane, Eastern Cape. A young woman who was with him was also shot and is in hospital. One of the suspects being held appeared in court today. He faces murder and attempted murder charges. The deceased held the WBO bantamweight title from 2017 to 2019, as well as the IBF super flyweight title in 2014. He was later given a 4-year ban, which lapsed in July this year. The remaining suspects who were arrested on Sunday are due in court on Tuesday. 2 have been charged with unlawful possession of firearms and ammunition. It is unclear whether they will also be charged with murder and attempted murder. Saying in South Africa, commercial bank Absa is looking to deepen its presence across the continent as the banking group moves to diversify its income and reduce its reliance on a handful of key markets. The lender is considering a return to Angola and exploring a merchant banking license in Nigeria. Our South Africa correspondent, Innocent Samosa, reports.
Absa Bank is looking to establish a representative office in Angola nearly 2 decades after exiting the market, while also weighing a merchant banking license in Nigeria. We do know that the CEO, Kenny Fihla, says the expansion is of course part of a strategy to diversify the group's income and reduce concentration risks. Well, Absa says a presence in African countries, for example Angola, could really unlock trade and corporate investment opportunities, while a Nigerian merchant banking license would open the door to capital advisory and also issues around trade finance services. Well, the banking group says its broader African expansion is aimed at positioning Absa to benefit from increasing trade and investment flows across the African continent, while strengthening its corporate and investment banking offerings. Well, the move, we do know that also comes as many African economies seek greater access to finance to really support issues around infrastructure development, industrialization, issues around sustainability, cross-border trade, to name a few. Now, the bank says it will continue assessing opportunities in other African markets to, as it does seek to look to build a more diversified and resilient businesses across the continent. From Johannesburg, South Africa, Innocent Samosa, Channels Television News.
Nigeria's foreign policy is faulty. That's according to the former Director General of the Nigerian Association of Chambers of Commerce, Industry, Mines and Agriculture, John Isemede. Mr. Isemede made this known in our Foreign Affairs program, Diplomatic Channel, while speaking on the effect of foreign policy in dealing with the response to issues such as the recent xenophobic attacks on foreigners in South Africa.
Our foreign policy is faulty. We gained independence on the 1st of October 1960. That was 50 years after South Africa. All right. We joined the United Nations on the 7th of October 1960. The first aircraft owned by the monarch of this thing was by Nigeria. UCH Ibadan was among the best in the world. I met a medical doctor in Kenya who was telling me, Bawoni. He said he came to Ibadan for postgraduate training. What is our foreign policy? Today, who are those in our missions abroad? When late Ashiru, Ambassador Ashiru was the Minister of Foreign Affairs. Dr. Omobi was the PAMSEC Foreign Affairs. Dr. Agaga was the Minister of Trade and Investment. I was the DG of Nasima. We were working together. What we agreed that no ambassador, either political or professional, must mingle, come and work with the private sector, with the customs, and have a target before leaving this country. You see ambassadors from other countries. When I was DG of Nasima, if I don't see a Chinese in my office for 2 weeks, I will be worried. The India High Commissioner was always there. What is the latest in Nigeria? But which information do we get? If Nigerians have registered businesses, then we will be able to go to the UN. The same UN that was fighting for the world when the policy of apartheid was introduced in 1948, where are they today? That even Nigerians who have lost their belongings, life and all that, you are now telling them to pay $18.5 million for evacuation. All right, what of the one done by Airpeace? Can we quantify that?
That's a nice
Then when they now come back, how are they going to piece the pieces together?
You can watch more of the interview with John Isemede on Diplomatic Channel. It airs tonight, 8:30 p.m. on Sky 515. The U.S. Consulate General in Lagos has formally launched the $125,000 U.S. Ambassador's Fund for Cultural Preservation. to the Center for Memories in Enugu to conserve and preserve the Ledger iron smelting site, one of the earliest known iron smelting sites in sub-Saharan Africa. The event took place at the National Museum in Lagos. Witnessing this historic event of the U.S. Ambassador's Fund for Ledger at the National Museum, Lagos, are the new Consul General Brandon Hudspeth, members of the Consulate General in Lagos, the Deputy Governor of Enugu State, Ifeanyi Osai, the Ministry of Arts, Culture, Tourism and the Creative Economy, the National Commission for Museums and Monuments, and members of the Smithsonian Institute, among other very important guests. Having been serenaded into the program by a son of Ledger, a representative of the Minister of Arts, Culture, Tourism and the Creative Economy, in the person of Executive Director, National Film and Video Censors Board, Dr. Shaibu Hussaini, commends the U.S. mission in Nigeria for the feat.
It's not just an archaeological marvel, it is an undeniable testament to ancient Nigerian sophistication, technological ingenuity, and scientific mastery.
The Deputy Governor of Enugu State said Ledger speaks of the character of people existing way ahead of their time.
It speaks to a people who are brilliant. It speaks about our forebears who had so much innate wisdom, who had the ability to conquer the challenges their times presented before them.
The U.S. Consul General says the grant is not aid.
This is not aid. This is a strategic economic intervention that advances all of our interests, whether they are American, Nigeria, or in fact the entire global community.
The signing of the document seals the partnership and reality of the new project. Later, Director of Center for Memories in Enugu, Ihai Igboku, says the grant will go beyond preservation to benefiting the people of Ledger.
By the time we start and continue this project, it will be deeply meaningful to the people. They will begin to connect because we are disconnected.
So this is 2026. It should be finished by 2028.
Beyond Nigeria, those involved in the project are excited about Ledger becoming a tourist attraction and education site for all. Well, after the launch of the Ambassador's Fund, staff of the Smithsonian Institute in Washington, D.C. held a training for museum staff, curators and collectors. The training provided an opportunity for both sides to rub minds on other projects in Nigeria and to share ideas on further discoveries and preservation.
The United States mission has a long-standing support for cultural preservation here in Nigeria. Over the last 5 years alone, we've put more than $1.2 million into Ambassador's Fund for Cultural Preservation projects. I've had the pleasure of visiting many of these projects, and I hope, my goal is to get to all of them. I don't know if that's possible.
Our cultural heritage is more than a collection of traditions, monuments, languages, and artifacts. It is the living story of who we are, where we come from, and the values that shape our shared future. Preserving and promoting this heritage is a collective responsibility that connects the past with the present while laying a strong foundation for the future.
Together, we are examining issues around 21st century museum practice and community-informed practice and care. And so, over this last week, we have been busy soaking in all that we can across the cultural heritage sector in Lagos. And we know that we are only scratching the surface.
The Nigerian movie industry is mourning the passing of veteran Yoruba movie actor Taiwo Hassan, popularly known as Ogogo. His daughter announced his death on social media. The 66-year-old had been suffering from cancer. He has been buried today in his hometown in Ogun State, southwest Nigeria, in line with Muslim tradition. Before finding fame on screen, Ogogo worked as a mechanic for about 13 years at the Ogun State Water Corporation. He combined that career with acting in 1981 when he started appearing in films. He eventually switched to performing full-time in 1994, focusing on the profession. Colleagues and fans have been paying tribute to the man who became one of Yoruba cinema's most recognizable faces. Over the course of his career, Ogogo won numerous awards and earned critical acclaim for his role in the movie Anikulapo, where he played the Alaafin of Oyo, the most revered king in Yoruba land. Our next story spotlights a business administration graduate who is bringing a different approach to the traditional meat selling business. Popularly referred to on social media as the corporate meat seller, Akim Muraina's unconventional approach to the trade seeks to challenge the stereotypes associated with butchers. Our correspondent Kenny Akiwumi caught up with him in Abeokuta, the Ogun State capital.
Every morning, Akim Muraina arrives at Camp Junction in Abeokuta, the Ogun State capital, dressed like a corporate executive. But instead of heading to a corporate office, he resumes at his meat stand, the place he calls his office. Known on social media as the corporate meat seller, his unusual approach to butchery is gaining attention.
You know, wearing suit to sell meat has always been my dream. Because I see people wearing suits to office everywhere, but no matter how small your office is, it is still your office.
A business administration graduate, Akim is giving the traditional trade a distinct identity while challenging perception about meat sellers by blending fashion into the business.
You know, people see people that sell meat as thug. They always dress dirty, fight, but I just want to change the narrative. Me being a fashionista and bringing it to my business, I want to combine the two together. There is one adage that says, dress the way you want to be addressed. So there is nobody that will see me like this, that will come to my stand and harass me, or that will talk to me anyhow. So the only message I'm going to give to other people is always look good.
Beyond the meat stand, his story reflects the growing role of social media in helping young entrepreneurs market their skills and businesses.
Social media has already played a vital role in my business, because anything you are doing, this is now a new age, let's say computer age. Anything you are doing, you have to put it outside there so that people can see. But it has already played a vital role by giving me much customers. I see many customers from TikTok, Instagram, Facebook.
For customers who stop by daily, his approach is both unconventional and memorable.
Oh, you want to eat for peppermint?
It's giving something totally outstanding. Like, it's not common, it's rare to see a meat seller being corporate like this. And since then, I've been patronizing him, to be candid.
I started buying my meat here because he's kind and calm. He's not used to act as if he's arrogant, because he's unique and his meat is okay.
I stumbled on his video on TikTok, I think a few days ago, and I was like, okay, right here in camp, what's going on? I felt like, okay, I think this is just unique. So I decided to just patronize him to the well person, and I'm really impressed, I must say.
Akim's interest in the trade did not begin with him. He learned the business from his father.
I've been following my dad right from when I was still small to market to sell meat. So since then, I've had interest, even not ordinary interest, passion of selling meat.
I am glad that my children have a close relationship with me, and they avail themselves to assist me. They are enjoying the rewards of their loyalty.
For Akim, the corporate look is more than a style statement. It is his way of showing that professionalism can exist in any line of work. Kenny Akiwumi, Channels Television News.
Well, here's our fun fact for Monday. Did you know that Swaziland is home to some of the oldest rocks on Earth? The Malolocha Nature Reserve contains rocks estimated to be around 3.6 billion years old, dating back to a time when Earth itself was still in its early stages. That means these ancient landscapes are billions of years older than the dinosaurs. Swaziland is literally home to a piece of Earth's ancient history. And now you know. Thanks for watching. I'm Amarachi Uvani.